Hello, hello. I'm Triple A Sun, and it's been a while, hasn't it? It's 2026, and I've decided to go and check out my backlog of games because why not start the new year by digging into the past and not letting go? As you can read from the title, I'm revisiting Look Outside, a game I last played last year in April. We pick Survivor mode, which I think is the intended difficulty where there are no autosaves, nor can you make them anytime you want. Perfect for a try-hard like me. We wake up after having a weird dream and are overcome with the overwhelming urge to look outside. Title drop. The neighbor in the wall says it's a good idea to do it too. But wait, no. They suddenly change their mind as if their clarity had returned to them. Choosing to not look outside, we admit to our neighbor that we're a filthy neat and give our name, Samsa. Basically, the mysterious wall inhabitant says something will happen in 15 days, so we note that down as our time limit. Then, we casually start our day by talking and watering our plant, looting our apartment, and brushing teeth. We also play some games, Super Jump Lad, for 2 hours because screw that deadline. Okay, fine, let's go outside. Our spare key is missing. Sus. Even more sus is this trail of blood, which of course we're going to follow into our neighbor's house. Our neighbor seems to have kinda lost his marbles, and whoa, that animation, is that new? Well, we beat him and loot his knife and a key to open the 3rd floor stairway. Before we opened that stairway, we decided to be even more of a busybody and go to another neighbor's room. This time, it's Vincent, someone who recently had a party. When we enter his place, the game explains the save system, which I already explained in the very beginning of the video, and I hope you all paid attention. Anyway, we try to talk to Vincent, but he doesn't respect our boundaries and keeps trying to come closer and closer, so we throw some knives at him. Ha! Take that! In this apartment, we also find his pet guinea pig, which will be useful for later. Now that we've disposed of 2 of our neighbors, we finally open the stairway and get access to the 2nd floor. Here we find an astronomer who basically wants offerings in the image of something they've labeled the Visitor, the entity responsible for all the weird transformations and happenings. This guy says that if they can collect all of them, they'd be able to make contact and stop whatever apocalypse is happening right now. After getting that important plot point, we walk into a nearby apartment where we hear a voice calling for help. We meet Jane, who wants us to get her laundry. She can't get it herself because she's feeling sick and will pay us $50 to do it. Okay, Jane, let me just do something first. We leave that place and continue exploring the 2nd floor. There's a key at the end of the hall for apartment 21, but something's off. Last time I played, I ran away from the scary thing that chases us as it steadily gets darker. So this time, I'm gonna be brave and face it. It's like, I make like Jonathan Joestar and run to apartment 21. Inside, we meet a mysterious hooded creature named Lyle. Apparently, he worked with us at a convenience store, but I guess we're just too cool to remember people. Damn, Samsa. So Lyle does photography and will give you a photo paper in exchange for a kiss. Being a generous romantic, of course I agreed to give a little smoochy smoochy. Oh, and because we need that photo paper for an offering, I guess, Lyle is feeling shy and tells me to close my eyes, and hey, if that's what he needs to feel comfy, I will oblige. We say goodbye to Lyle and somehow get down to the 1st floor. We say hello to someone stuck in a really narrow pipe who says she wants to confess her love to some dude named Nestor. Damn, these people really do be treating us like an errand boy, huh? P.S. I ended up being unsure about this whole ship, so nothing happens between the two. Sorry. Grumbling to ourselves, we end up in a sprawling labyrinth of endless corridors. After passing the Silent Hill Hall with unlimited broken, unopenable doors, we decide that it's getting late, so we head home, play some Wizard's Hell for 2 hours, and then crash in bed. Alone. Alone, but not for long. The next morning, our wall neighbor heard something loud in the hallway. Maybe it's our first party member. One could only dream. We make some food to fill our bellies and head out to check the noise. Outside, we see the neighbor's door broken down, as well as a weird creature nearby. It doesn't look very friendly, so we avoid it for now and enter. Inside, we see toothy things running around, and they're aggressive, so we beat them up. Further in, we find more teeth and a baseball cap. We beat the teeth up and pick up a fuzzy teddy bear. Ignoring the obvious tooth child, we head to the bathroom where, now, for real, we can recruit our first party member. We talk to Joel and tell him we're his neighbor. He explains that his sis got sick and started biting everyone, even him. Now, brushing his teeth takes forever for some reason. When he says he's done brushing, we find out why. The teeth are spreading to his eyes, to his brain. The poor boy feels his mind slipping, but luckily we can bring him back. The bear we picked up, Fuzzy. We hug the teethy boy and he gives us a doorknob. Using this doorknob, we're able to access his mom's room. And after getting permission from her, Joel joins our party. With our teeth boy, we'll be unstoppable because every time Joel gets a final hit, he devours the enemy and gets stronger. Way to go, Joel! We encounter a masked shadow who seems very cool and nice, but I end up botching its quest. Very sad. Moving on, we find a clearly marked room. Entering it, we meet Ernest, who, for a sandwich, will join you for the day as a third party member. Now we can train a bit and get my teeth boy to devour some monsters. Eventually, on the first floor, we meet a painter in his studio. Apparently, there are sentient portraits of himself walking around, and this all happened after he looked outside and painted what he saw. The painter tells us that one of his copies is in the fridge, so we open it. This Frederick tries to convince us that he's real, but clearly the real one doesn't have this many appendages. He does mention something interesting though, that the Frederick we talked to is also fake, because his ring gem color should be red, not green. For his honesty, we spare this Fred. In the bathroom, again another bathroom. We find another Frederick, who is a deformed mass of body. It can't even really speak besides its incoherent mumbling and growling. But we do find out that its life is basically suffering, and that it doesn't want to continue living it, so we agree to grant it mercy. Probably the complete opposite of life is suffering Frederick. We meet a friendly, peaceful Fred who's colorful and, most importantly, heals you once per day. Moving on, we see a sus closet in the corner of a room. Inside, there's some kind of cowardly Fred. For some cola, he agrees to grace us with his presence, and since it trusts us, I couldn't bear to kill it. In this other room, we look at this green cowboy hat, which we don't put on because we don't like the color green. Continuing on, we see a green Fred who's mad that we hate green because he doesn't like our favorite color of not green. He attacks us. Almost dying from the fight, we head back to heal and train elsewhere by feeding my tooth boy Joel rats. Grow big and strong. Oh yeah, we also get the visitor painting. We also find a baby rat, which we um we Anyway, we find a telescope pointed outside, image of which is projected on the floor. We put a disc that we have so that it's printed on it. With this, we can use the photo paper from Smooching Lyle to develop it into a photograph of the visitor. Exploring the ground floor of the apartment complex, we pick up Papanu, a janitor, who is now our third permanent party member. Yay! But our party is incomplete, so we go back to get Ernest. Inside, we see Colonel Squeakums on top of Ernest's body. But how could that be? Those guys loved each other. They had something special. Something fishy is going on, and we're gonna find out. Luckily, the fight ends as Squeakums wants us to follow it. We follow it into a rat hole with swarms of rodents. The only way out is blocked, so we can but move forward. We fight through a bunch of weird-looking rats, but the pixel art is gorgeous, isn't it? Joel eats one of them, and so we carry on looking for more rat victims. Enemies. Now at the last stretch, We listen to Colonel Sweekum's wise words and decide to go left, where we faced a three-headed rat. We cut it down and finally find Ernest. He's alive and now joins us permanently. Yay, full party. Oh yeah, remember Jean, who wanted us to get her laundry for $50? Well, she explains that several heads have grown out of her body and that she has no control over them. They drag people away and eat them, and she can taste every bite. Ugh. To spare her from this continued misery, we kill the other heads, or more like Joel eats a lot of them. Afterwards, Jean thanks us for our efforts and blesses us with a rare elixir. At some point, we return to the ground floor. We sneak past a giant hand. Ha, bet that's what you thought I'd say, but no, we don't run anymore now that we have a full party. Fear? I barely know her. To celebrate our victory, we get energy drinks from a vending machine, and we also recruit her. The vending machine. After getting the key from our landlord, that was a whole winding section of a labyrinth. Don't want to think about it again. The gunshots, the mines, the soldiers, the things I've seen I can never unsee again. We go down to the basement and end up in some sewers. There are floating corpses around while we sneak past enemies. We find a talking centipede who apparently lost their seeing eye dog. It seems like they've both undergone a transformation. Further in, we find a big-ass spider named David, who is was a teacher taking his disabled students on a field trip. Sadly, their bus crashed. He lost all the kids and is now a terrifying arachnid. He tells us their names, which we of course have no trouble at all memorizing. First, we find Alice, the fairy princess Fly. Oh, sorry, I meant Princess Miss Blossom. Next, we find a weird bug that can't talk, so I assume it's the dog. We give it the chew toy and it follows us. We attempt to lead it back to its owner, but alas, something stands in our way, of course. With our full party and Teethy Devourer Boy and Colonel Sweekum's, we beat it no probs. With that aside, we reunite Roxy the dog with its owner, and they safely return to Teacher David. Ah, happy ending. All's going well. Never mind. Okay, fine. Let's go home and play D&D with Lyle instead. I mean, not D&D. I meant Mazes and Wizards. My character is Rog's scale folk rogue of mono layer with kinda crappy stats. Look at that dumb 3 intelligence. Oh, and Joel is a strong good boy kobold warrior. Ernest is a sexy elf bard, and Papa New is a giant cleric of justice and power. And with that, we play deep into the night. So, past the sewers, we find a mushroomy area with strange spores floating in the air. We rescue a moth named Philip, who wants to join our party. He's good at buggy bug things. And taxes? We say yes, but sadly, someone has to go back home to make room for the cute little Mothman. Later, we take a quick break by helping Laughing Mold with its stand-up comedy routine. Ah, what a fun guy. Then we kill this mushroom princess because its spores got into Philip's brain and is mind controlling him. We gotta save him! Oh yeah, we also saved all the other sewer kids for David. Forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, at this point everything is kind of a blur. We recruit our dungeon master Lyle and the streamer named Dan, who one night just appeared at my door. He has this funny mechanic where he does more damage the more viewers watch. We also meet a clown, which Samza is terrified of. We fight a very big boss. There's just so much content and secrets in this game, and I'm sure I've already missed a lot of stuff. Oh, and we nursed Philip back to health after saving him from the Mushroom Princess. Hooray, he loves us. Oh, and in our bathroom, the cockroaches we've been collecting around the complex have gathered into humanoid form under a trench coat. Welcome to the family, roaches! After repairing the elevator, we're able to access a room on the second floor. The occupant here seems to be some kind of writer who was making a manuscript detailing a description of the visitor. We beat the writer, who changed into a typewriter with a manuscript tongue. Take these loose papers and complete it with another page that was tucked away in another room. Third offering secured. For the last offering, we go to the security room, beat up the security guard monitor monster. Beating things up seems to be the solution to a lot of things in this game, eh? And, okay, don't be mad, but we put the guinea pig we found a long time ago on the seat here so that it can watch the security feed. Because the last offering is video footage of the outside. So we need somebody to watch the feed so we know which one is the correct one. And we know that by when Cinnamon the guinea pig transforms into something monstrous. Sorry, Cinnamon. With the VHS in hand, we can finally give the last offering. But not before we go for a bit of a swim in this underwater apartment, where we meet Summer, a neighbor we once knew. They've changed a lot though, and seem to have succumbed to their lethargy. But you know us, we're busybodies and we can't leave anyone alone, so we stay and beat the depression out of them. All jokes aside, depression is a serious thing, so please seek help if you need it. Anyway, with all 4 offerings secured, we give them to the astronomers and tell the leader Jasper that we're ready. With a few days to spare. Getting up to the roof, we see bizarre sights, and somehow aren't instantly dead just from daring to be outside. Here, the 4 astronomers confirm that the offerings are correct. Wonder what happens if they're wrong. And then they all set up a ritual circle. Stepping into the circle, they start summoning the visitor. And it heeds their call. It gazes upon the 4 and starts sucking them into its eye. We tussle for a while, and the 4 merge into a pretzel-shaped being with many eyes. They say they can maintain their sanity for a brief while, and that we should run before they obliterate us. It's here that we have a chance to say one final word. So we tell Jasper about our neighbor Sybil. I went through a whole ordeal to get into her apartment and actually saw her, but I didn't put it in the video just to keep her a bit of a secret. Long story short, Sybil made contact with the visitor and received some sweet, forbidden knowledge. Knowledge that would bring the end of the world should it be brought to light. So she self-induced amnesia to stop that possibility from happening. She made us promise that we would let her forget and that we'd help Jasper. From learning about Sybil, Jasper gets motivated enough to try and retain his sanity. It's not without considerable effort, as we still have to fight the pretzel god. Say we can't beat them, but goddamn, have you guys seen Joel's damage? We appoint him as governor and he's just extremely OP. Not to mention tanky from all the enemies he's devoured. Lowering its HP enough, the being says it's gonna talk to the visitor and somehow solve everything. At this point, I assume we've gotten a decent ending since the astronomers have maintained their sanity. So that's it for my playthrough of Look Outside. Very cool game with gorgeous pixel art. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but also has some pretty disturbing imagery and moments that don't go over the top edgy in my opinion. Not to mention secrets. I didn't even finish exploring some secret zones I found, but I do think this is a game you're meant to play a couple times. In fact, some companions I had in my first playthrough didn't even appear in this one, since there is some RNG behind some of them. Some events or quests can fail prematurely too if you don't say or do a specific thing, like the mask shadow. But honestly, I'm fine with that. There's plenty of other content to discover, but if you're someone who needs to see everything the game has to offer, you'll probably need a guide. I enjoyed it a lot despite the simple RPG combat and hope to see more from this developer. Alright, I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you enjoyed my silly little playthrough, and if you're interested, I highly recommend getting the game for yourself. Till next time!